What is up, my bodyweight warriors, and welcome back to another video and another episode of the Do It Right series. This is a series in which we break down common flexibility patterns and we tell you what the do's and the don'ts are, and then I also share some of my favorite exercises for these patterns. Today is no different, and we're going to be looking at the long requested pancake. So the pancake, as well as being a delicious food, is also a stretch position. This is when we sit on the floor in a straddle and fold forward as flat as a pancake. It's quite a simple looking position. It's useful for a lot of reasons, whether we're doing things like handstands, pressed handstand, or even if you just want to squat better and have better lower body flexibility. It's a useful one to train. However, there are a lot of common mistakes when it comes to training the pancake, which we're going to go over in today's video. Before we jump into today's video, I just want to mention that on my app Tribe, which is available in a link in the description down below, there is a really excellent pancake program in there which has progressive levels in it. So if you want to take yourself from no pancake to pancake, there is the routine for you in there, as well as a bunch of other routines for all sorts of flexibility and also strength, muscle gain, body weight, handstand stuff. It's all in that app. Again, linked in the description down below. First of all, let's jump off with some do's and don'ts. So the first mistake that I commonly see with the pancake is lack of hip hinging. Now the pancake is primarily a hip hinge. It's really important that we learn to articulate the hips when we're sitting on them to get the most out of the stretch and also get the most out of the position. This actual mistake is more when we don't rotate the hips and then we rely on a lot of that movement coming from the back and spinal flexion. Now, this isn't necessarily a mistake, it's actually just a limitation in range of motion. If you're not flexible enough, you're not going to be able to get this hip articulation. The mistake comes when I see people trying to train a position that is too advanced for them. So for example, on the floor, if I can't sit comfortably and get that anterior pelvic tilt, get those hips moving before I then do my stretch, I'm going to be compensating with a lot of spinal flexion. For this person, it is then worth them going back to a more basic regression, something like a standing pancake good morning, and doing this stretch in a standing position so that you can focus on that hinging of the hips. This is going to result in a much better stretch. Mistake number two that I commonly see is the width of the straddle that people are using. So most of the time this will be that people use a too narrow a straddle stance, and again, this one isn't necessarily a mistake, it's more out of a limitation of range of motion. Again, if we're sat on the floor and we have our legs really narrow, then it's going to make it harder for us to actually train the pancake position. We need to be able to push those legs out. I personally like the range of about arm span in terms of width of the legs, and then that is a good position to train the pancake. If we can't get the legs out wide enough, maybe we need to work on opening up our straddle through something like the middle splits, and I've got a bunch of middle split routines on this channel that I will link down below. The third and final mistake when it comes to training the pancake is not using your own strength. This is probably most common with this stretch. I just see people who want to just keep on piling on weight after weight after weight onto their back until it slowly crushes them into a ball of sort of pancake, but it's mostly just because there's a lot of weight on your back pressing you down. Whilst this can help deepen the stretch and there is a use for it, if we use a lot, our body gets used to resisting a lot, and we need to actually teach our body to use its own strength to get into that position, and that's going to come from being able to engage the quads. So not being able to engage the closing side of the joint, so the quads in this case, to help with the stretch and use your own strength rather than just piling up weight. So now we're going to talk about what exercises could you use to solve these problems in your training. So I'm going to actually recommend two exercises in this one. The first one is really what I would consider the bread and butter when it comes to training the pancake, and that is the pancake good morning. Now, if you have a decent level of flexibility, this will be performed on the floor. You can have your arms in whatever position you like. The further away from the center of the body, the harder it's going to be. And essentially what you're going to do here is you're just going to try and hinge forward as much as you can from the hips. It's fine to bend at the back a little bit. You go down to the bottom position and you come back up and you perform it for reps, much like you would a pull-up or a dip, etc. You can also add weight to this movement if you want a little bit of assistance, but again, I would kind of do this one progressively. I wouldn't jump in and chuck 40 kilos on your back. I would maybe start with 5, 10 kilos and use it just to aid in pulling you deeper into that range of motion. If we're going back to training mistake number one, which is about excessively rounding the back, and you find yourself doing this when you're doing this exercise, then you're going to want to do a standing good morning instead. There's nothing worse about this exercise, it's just what's most appropriate for you at your current level of flexibility. You can do the one on the floor, but if you haven't got enough flexibility, you're not going to get the best results from it. You get better results doing it standing up. And again, with this one, you can also add weight to aid in the stretch. So the next exercise I want to share with you is actually something I shared with Fitness FAQs in the video I did with him when he came to London. So I will link that full video that I did with him down below. But essentially it got him from like a mediocre pancake to a pretty good pancake in about 5 minutes. And it does sometimes work for some people in that way. And that is a seated pancake leg extension. Now this one I use a lot with clients, and it's a great one for helping to strengthen the quads and the hip flexors in that pancake position. As I said, it's about using your own strength to get deeper into the pancake. For this one, you're going to sit on a box or a bench in a nice wide straddle, fold down forward in front of you, place your hands on the floor, and then from here, all you're going to think about doing is trying to perform a leg extension, but keeping bent over the legs. So the more you extend the legs, the more of a hamstring stretch you create, and it should get some nice cramping, a nice little quad pump whilst doing this exercise. One thing you want to avoid when doing this exercise is just watching how much the hips come off the box. It's very easy to fold over, extend the legs all the way, and the hips just to lift up. This isn't actually the best use of our energy. We want to try, if possible, to think about keeping our hips connected to the surface, or mostly connected to the surface, and then extending the legs less, or trying to engage the quads and hip flexors more to pull you deeper. It's all about using your own strength to get more flexible. This one, again, you can perform for reps like anything else, but instead of doing quick reps, I would recommend using short isometric contractions in that max effort extension position. So these two exercises can be used together, but both of them will help you build some progress in the pancake. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, if you do want to get a proper pancake routine, then I do have a bunch of routines for pancake, middle splits, and a whole host more in my app Tribe, which is available in the link in the description down below. Other than that, if you have any questions about today's video, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to answer and get to everyone who leaves a comment. If you just enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, I know a lot of people have been asking about the pancake, so I thought it was about time to do a video on it. Just hit that thumbs up button and show you're enjoying this sort of video. And so you don't miss out on any more future videos in the future, you can also hit that subscribe button, which is right next to it, and join the Bodyweight Warrior Tribe. But that has been it for this week, guys. I'll catch you in the next episode. Have a strong week, and peace.